Okay, so this tutorial is using my photograph of the Moulin Rouge in Paris. I printed out the notan here, and I'm just going to use masking fluid everywhere it's white. It's really easy to see with a light box. You could use black watercolor paper and use either draw it freehand or use white graphite paper to transfer the lines, the outline to the black paper. What I'm going to do is add the masking fluid wherever it's white, let it dry, and then just use a watercolor pour lots of different colors on here, making a dark value so that it looks really, really cool. So I'm not going to show you every step of me using the masking fluid. I'm using the Schmincke. It comes in this tube with a little applicator tip, which is really kind of nice. But I'm just going to do a little bit. First, I always take a scrap piece of paper when I'm using these tubes and see how fast is it coming out, how well can I control it. Sometimes it comes out in a blob. So I'm just going to barely squeeze this and not worried about being too precise, and just kind of following those white lines. Like I said, not being too precise. It will read like Moulin Rouge when I'm done, whether I'm going outside the lines or not. Just don't, if you use this kind of applicator, just don't squeeze too hard because it will just come out in a big blob. I'm just barely squeezing it. I'm just following that outline. This is really a fun one to do, and it's really pretty easy. You just use some masking fluid, let it dry, and give it some paint. Okay, the masking fluid is dry, and I've got some paints mixed up over here. This is kind of an orange color. This is phthalo blue, and this is, I think it's crimson. Not crimson, it's a magenta. And they're pretty watery, And what I'm gonna do is do a technique called watercolor pouring. I've got paper towels ready. I'm just going to spritz the whole thing. I don't want to get it like puddles, but I do want it wet so that the paint can really move around. I'm gonna kind of swirl this around. You let gravity help. And since yellow is the lightest, I'm going to just drop that in, and then I'm going to drop some of this pink in. It doesn't look like a lot of pigment, a lot of paint, but it will spread. I'm going to add more water, get it all juicy. And then I'm going to, this is the messy part, just start swirling it around. Use the paintbrush to get in there if it needs some help, which it will. Get on in there. And then just make a huge mess. I'm going to help with the paint here. Get to the edges. While it's still wet, you can do a lot when it's still wet. Oh, that's so pretty. I love that yellow. I'm going to try to preserve that area of yellow. Okay, I'm going to let gravity. This is hard to do to film because the camera is so low. And I'm just going to angle it so I can lose some of the paint. Okay, that's has a wet spot up there. I'm going to add a little bit more water here at the bottom, and I'm going to add some more of this phthalo blue. It's kind of too light here at the bottom. Now I'm throwing in some of this magenta. Get the rest of this magenta out here. While it's still wet, you can still do stuff. Now I'm kind of splattering a little because that makes a really cool effect. Let me clean this up at the bottom. Got a lot of paint pooling here on this tape, which isn't going to hurt it, but it could end up being really messy for me. Oh, that's really cool. Let's move it around some more. Okay, that's really cool how it kind of stopped right here, the edge of that building. I'll angle it and let gravity help to keep it that way. Okay, let it dry flat. I really like the mixture of the colors, what they did on the paper. It's really kind of cool. Let me get some of this picked up right here at the edge so there's no blooms as it's drying, because it's pooling right at the tape. Look at my hands. I am such a messy artist. Okay, let this dry and we'll see if it needs another layer of color. We want the white to really pop out when we take the masking fluid off. We'll see what it looks like. It dried a lot lighter. I knew it would, but I didn't know how light it would go. So I really want more contrast between the background and then the bright white of the masking fluid. So I've mixed up some pretty intense magenta and phthalo blue, and I'm about to pour them on. I'm going to do just a little spritz. I don't want too much. I'll add more later, but I don't want it too wet to start off with. So I'm just pouring. I love to pour. Now when this mixes around, it should be a lot darker. Get my brush to help out. Move on around. Oh, I like that red coming through like that. I'm going to see if I can't keep that there. Spread this on the bottom. I don't want to angle it too much because I want that to stay just like that. That is so cool. Maybe I'll angle it just a little. Get some of that red coming through the whole piece. It's just dripping on. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, let's get some of this off the edge so it dries without a bloom, which if it's got a bloom, I don't care. It'll make it really interesting. I'm just going along and pulling it off the tape here so it doesn't creep back. Oh yeah, that, of course, with the glare of the light, you can't really see how awesome it looks. So let me angle it a little bit. Look at that. Look at that red, that magenta. I'm gonna hold it here for a couple of minutes and let that red really start to make its way. Oh, that's gonna be really pretty. Just gonna keep holding it. There's a lot of paint on here. I said I wanted intense. I got what I asked for. Oh, that's pretty. I have to hold it up so there's no glare. I think I will let it dry at an angle here, like that. So that red can just keep coming down if it wants to. Okay, I think this is going to be it. Let it dry. It's dry. I really like this pink kind of coming through here and being dark over here. I thought about adding some color here to define the top of this windmill thing, but I think I'm just going to leave it and see what it looks like when I take the masking off. I think keeping it simple, I'm trying to get too detailed here, and I really like trying to work on doing simple things. So I'm going to use this rubber cement eraser thing. You can use your finger. I don't like using my finger because I'm afraid I'm going to get some oil on the paper by rubbing it too much. And if I wanted to do some detail over the white stuff, then the white paper, then the oil will prevent the paint from sticking to it. So that's just me. So I just kind of get it started. Pull this off. I won't let you watch the entire video because that would be very, very boring. So I'm just going to continue. Okay, the masking fluid is off. It looks really, really cool. What I think I'm going to do is get a black pen and outline the Moulin Rouge name. And that's all I'm going to do. And I'm just going to walk away from it. So I'm just going to outline it with a micron pen. Okay, the outlining of the letters really cleaned them up. Some of the edges were jagged, and it's not perfect, but that's okay. I will wait for daylight to take the final picture of this so it doesn't look so dull. I'm really pleased with it. I love the little shadow in the window to make you think there might be someone standing there. I love the pink coming through. I just really love that it's a very vibrant piece. And remember, it's not finished until it has a mat and a frame. See how different that looks?